You're gonna turn on me, you son of a bitch.
I've already. Look at that. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. I just feel like it's my duty, my solemn and sworn duty to stand up against tyrants like you.
All right, man. Hey, first of all, it was a rant. You know, it was a part of our podcast. I was just bullshitting. I didn't expect it to get the overwhelming amount of like response that it did. But hey, it was cool, man. And you know what I liked about it is I had put that in the description. I don't know if anybody reads the description in YouTube videos. I wrote in there like, this isn't meant to hurt anybody or anything like that. This is just me ranting. And then if you like the Snyderverse and stuff, like, you know, comment down below with your thoughts.
And they did.
They definitely did.
Yeah.
I like that people took the time, man. Like, it wasn't just like little comments either. There were some paragraphs in there. And it was good. It was a good, healthy discussion. Like 98% of it was, you know, people, what I really liked about it is people kept it appropriate. Nobody was cussing or saying any bullshit like that. Like, you know, we kept it at the talking about movies and stuff like that.
I think one of the ones that I really, my favorite one was, it said, these guys have no idea what we're talking about. You're fucking absolutely right. We have no fucking clue what we're talking about.
I didn't know that I needed a film degree to talk about Zack Snyder movies. But hey.
Like I said, man, Zack Snyder's the man. And I agree with everybody who ranted and raved against you. I don't even like doing this podcast, to be honest with you. No.
Man.
So the one thing that I saw continuously, which I guess, you know, like you said, you're ranting and raving, and I think that why can't we have both? If that's a thing and it's possible, then you're right. Why can't we have both? I agree to that, right? If you look
100%, dude. Out of all the comments, everybody that commented, like, hey, to each their own. If you like the Batman, cool, watch the Batman. And why can't we have the Snyderverse as well? Or, like, why can't we have those movies as well? Like, if that's the case, 100%, dude. Like, if they put out a DC movie, I know me and you are going to go watch it. And that was a lot of the comments, too, like, oh, you don't have to watch these. Like, I'm going to watch them. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to watch all of them because I'm a DC fan. My rant wasn't targeted to those folks. Those are very, like, even-minded people that responded, like, hey, man, like, we get it. Like, you like that. You could like that. But we liked it. So just because you didn't like it doesn't mean... And I never said I don't like the Snyderverse. Like, I enjoyed Man of Steel. It's my favorite Superman movie. And I like BVS. And I like the Snyder cut of the Justice League. But my main point in that one was I don't want to see Pattinson's Batman get into the DCEU. Which it doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing. He's going to be his own separate thing. And, you know, people are like, hey, but we still want... you know, the other DCU to continue, which if that's what you guys want, man, 100%. More DC movies, the better. And I think, you know, they're starting to introduce the concept of multiverses, and people are starting to realize, like, it's not like how it used to be back in the day. Like, we can't have multiple characters, multiple people playing the same character at the same time. It's going to confuse the audience. The audiences are a lot smarter now, right, Jess?
Yeah. And then the thing is, if there's more content, I think what you were trying to get across in that last video from your rave and shit was you were kind of on Twitter and you were like getting like there's a lot of people that want the Snyderverse and at the same time are hating on the Reeves Batman. And I think that's kind of like, you didn't make that. There's a lot of things, you know, when you're saying it, you just kind of, I think people put in there, there's another comment, how did Zack Snyder copy the MCU? And they didn't. Like, I'm not saying they were making quips. They weren't. I'm saying WB tried to copy the formula. They try to do what they did, as in quickly make a few superhero films and then rushed it to the team up instead of fleshing out the characters. The reason the Avengers, the first one in 2012 works, or even all the other subsequent Avengers movies works, is you don't have to spend too much time world building or building up these characters because you already know them. And then you can just have a team up film where these guys are set, you know, these characters, you know them. So you don't have to worry too much about it. You can just get into, I think, well, that was one thing why this needed to be a 3 to 4 hour film was you're still world building with this character. This is the first time we see Cyborg, first time we see Barry Allen's Flash, yeah. You know, so this was supposed to be the first time, which got cut out. They even had a Green Lantern scene, which was filmed that I'd seen the rounds on Twitter. That's
Yeah,
what I
that
was
just
trying
dropped
to.
the other day.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to say when I say I wasn't saying Zack Snyder was copying the MCU. So to clarify that.
Yeah, and I don't think Zack Snyder did anything wrong here. It was WB, the studio, that, originally was really, really involved.
Yeah.
Like, I know just back in the day, we've been making this podcast for a while. And back in the day, we used to hear these stories. We used to, like, go on the sites and read all the news and stuff like that. And then we kind of decided, like, we don't want to just be reporting the news. Like, we just want to more so talk about films and stuff. But I know thing that was happening back then was really heavy studio involvement. You can't do this. You have to do this. It can't be this long. It has to be this long. I think David Ayer got locked out of the editing room when the Suicide Squad was coming out. So, like, they were doing a lot of that bullshit back then. And now WB, like, recently has been saying, like, we just want good filmmakers telling stories and not just making good films, which is how it, honestly should have always been.
So, yeah, I think that's what... If that's what was lost in translation from that last film, does this change your opinion on, do you still not like this version of Batman? No, you probably still don't, right? And I saw some comments on that too. I don't have them all pulled up, but there was another one that says Michael Keaton's Batman killed. That's cool. So I love when people like start to, it's you can make or break your argument for whatever you believe in. I think a lot of people have kind of said, well, earlier in the Batman issues, he killed. Yeah, very early in print, I think he hangs somebody with a bat plane, steps on somebody's neck. But there's thousands of other issues where he doesn't kill and they drive that home, So you can pick and choose whatever you want for or against your argument. But I think you personally like a Batman that doesn't kill. To me, it makes more sense, too, because that's his code. That's the difference. That's the line, and that's a good plot device. Yeah. Yes, this Batman was later on in his career. Jason Todd, his Robin had already died. He'd seen some shit, and maybe he had lost who he was. After all the comments and the feedback, does your opinion change?
And yeah, dude, I'm not the type of person that is like, this is my standpoint. I'm going to dig my heels, and I'm not changing. These guys are all haters. I'm not like that, dude. Like, I'm always open to discussing things, dude. And then, like, when I see an overwhelming amount of comments going against what I'm saying, it's like, I'm not going to at that point be like, oh, these people don't know what they're talking about. That's not who I am. Like, I look at it as like, okay, cool. Like, what did I miss here? Or what was I missing? And, going from there. And, yeah, like, so what my rant was really targeted towards, 98% of the people in the comment section, it wasn't for you, dude. Like, if you're like, hey, you could enjoy the Batman, but we also want the Snyderverse stuff, that's great. It's not for you. It was, for whatever reason, my timeline on Twitter when the Batman was coming out was full of comments like this. It was, do not watch the Batman, hashtag boycott WB, hashtag boycott Batman, worst movie ever, and I ain't even seen it yet. Let it flop. Twilight Boy, a.k.a. Mid-Cry Man Clown, hashtag boycott Batman. I want to see the Batman, but I want restore the Snyderverse and release the Ayer cut a lot more. Boycott WB, boycott the Batman. Bad reviews on the Rotten Tomatoes Batman page. The film is a disappointment. Tell your friends, hashtag boycott WB, boycott the Batman. The reality is that you have to make a choice between Snyderverse or a DCEU without Affleck, Cavill, Fisher, and Snyder. So restore the Snyderverse, member or not, pass it on. This is what my rant was targeting towards. And I know a lot of the Snyderverse folks, now I know a lot of the Snyderverse fans aren't like this. This is a little group of that. And then I know that they're saying that, hey, on the other end of that, Reeves fans are like this too. So why is the world just like this now, Jess, where there's just like these extreme left and right, and then I think like 98% of us DC fans are like in the middle, where like if they make good content, we will go watch it.
The last video was called "The Snyderverse is Done."
It has to be a catchy title. It has to be a catchy title. Just like this one will be too.
To a degree, it might be done though, and maybe that's hurtful to say out loud. I agree. If they want to restore the Snyderverse, more power to them. And if you can have this why does it have to be this Batman versus that Batman or their Batman?
That's what I was saying in the rant. Like, hey, we don't have to shit on this new Batman just because it's not that. That was kind of the
Yeah.
emphasis of my
And
whole
you can
thing.
like your yeah. There's multiple Batmans. People brought up the Keaton Batman, the Bale Batman, Ben Affleck. We have our new Batman. So Robert Pattinson. You cannot like or like things about each and every Batman. And I said that in our podcast review for. I didn't think this Batman was a great Bruce Wayne, but I thought he was a really good Batman. You didn't like there were certain things and like the killing. There was other stuff. People always bring up the Martha scene, which I still do think to
I defended that back in the day. By the way.
yeah, that, going back, I've seen both films, like I've seen the uncut, the cut version of it. There's a lot of things people didn't like. They didn't like what they did with Jimmy, you know.
That's been a new thing that's been
Yeah.
trending over the past couple of days.
Yeah, there's a lot of character like that was one of their favorite characters. So everybody does have their own version of the character, I guess, that they liked and that they didn't like, When it becomes to, hey, we're going to fucking just shit on this Batman or da-da-da-da-da, then it doesn't become fun, because then it's like, why do you want to go against the box office and say, don't watch it, tell people not to watch it? Because then you're just setting up your own. If this is something you like, you want more content from WB, and they're finally making great content. So they kind of have a plan. This Flash goes back to Flash. Flash is coming out. And according to the interview that Ben did just last month, it seems like this character arc's completed. And this is going to piss off a lot of the Snyderverse people, because he says like this iteration of Batman and how this plot story, this is his favorite and most fun that he's had. And this was to the core of what he feels like his Batman should have been. That interview, he just did that in January.
Yeah, and it says Ben Affleck confirms The Flash is his last Batman movie. I was reading another Digital Spy article from, I think, either early this year or late last year, where he was kind of talking about the bad experience he had. Affleck said, I had a really nadir experience around Justice League for a lot of different reasons. Not blaming anybody. There's a lot of things that happened, but really what it was is that I wasn't happy. I didn't like being there. Jess, what does nadir mean?
Yeah, that was a good thing. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? I was like, I didn't know he was, I don't know.
Nadir means the lowest point in the fortunes of a person or organization.
God.
Definitely when the original Justice League was being shot, there was a lot of bad stuff that happened. And ultimately, what happened with the tragedy that happened with Zack Snyder, which was terrible. And then WB decided to move forward and then, brought in Joss Whedon, and then the horrendous theatrical cut of Justice League, which came out, which, so it is good that they did get to make the Snyder cut Justice League, which we both agree is much better than the original Justice League, right?
Yeah, I agree. I still
It's
felt
4
like it was
hours long.
rushed. It was 4 hours long. Like, I'm not gonna back off on what I liked. Like Joss Whedon's was terrible. Like the digital mustache, the quips. Like it was.
I don't not like you.
Yeah, and what was the other one? The bleed one or whatever. He does
I
some
like-
things definitely bleed. Yeah. See, those
Yeah.
quips don't work. So those don't work in this universe. So when people were saying, what do you mean he copied the MCU? No, I was saying the formula. WB tried to copy the formula. Zack Snyder didn't copy the MCU. That's why when you had an MCU director like Joss Whedon come and take over this film, it didn't work.
And that's what we've always loved about DC.
Yeah.
Like the tone of it.
Personally, I felt like this could have been stretched out with a lot of films. The mother boxes, all that was a lot to put into a 4-hour film. And I'm going to stick to that point of it. So other than that, yeah, we liked it. But I think some people are still, they want to go there. And some people are on the part where they're like, okay, let's move on. Let's see what else is coming out there. We have new characters. We have but you can have both. And it just seems like, I feel like the whole studio, and I feel like even the actors, people are ready to move on.
So a lot of the comments in our video were saying, Ben's coming back. Ben's coming back. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Ben's coming back. I try to look, like, if there's any other information out there or some more recent stuff that he said where he is open to coming back or whatever. I know that he just had a really good experience filming his scenes in The Flash and also filming his scenes in the Snyder Cut. But, like, he's, from everything that I read, he's been saying that, like, this is kind of an end to my experience of that character. And, dude, Ben Affleck is a great actor, a awesome director. So I don't see him coming back and doing this. I personally, that's just what I don't see it happening. If it happens, cool, man. I'm not rooting against it.
Yeah, so this interview was with the Herald Sun, I think. So this is an expert from it, where it seems like it's kind of final. So Ben did add that the sequence and scenes as Batman for The Flash were the most fun he's had playing the character. He feels producers have finally understood how to portray him on screen. I've never said this, and this is a direct quote. This is hot off the presses, but maybe my favorite scenes in terms of Batman and the interpretation of Batman that I've done were in the Flash movie. So that's coming directly from the man himself, right? So we're yet to see how this plays out. Some people say they're gonna kill him off. Some people say they're gonna have interactions with him and Keaton. So that's gonna be cool to see, But
again, guys, this is what we saw, the articles we saw. If there's any some dude commented, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes at WB and Discovery. He's like, I really don't. I don't really go out of my way to read articles and stuff anymore. What we mostly talk about now is like trailers or movies that we see, or like that's what the show is really about. But
we just give very biased opinions.
And the thing is, dude, like it was a 2.5 minute rant, and people are trying to just pigeonhole us into one thing or the other. They're like, no, you guys are Zack Snyder haters, and you hate you hate Zack Snyder. You hate this. You're just a hater. You didn't like Man of Steel because it wasn't like Richard Donner Superman. Where did that come from? I love Man of Steel. I didn't want it to be like, see, like that's the thing. Like just the assumptions that got made from that were pretty hilarious to me. Like I love Henry Cavill. I want to see more of Henry Cavill as Superman. Like I would have just rather wanted Man of Steel 1, Man of Steel 2, Man of Steel 3. That would have been dope. But then, like you said, Jess, I don't think it was Snyder. I think it was Warner Bros. Were like, hey, we gotta rush this thing. So
we gotta jump up to the ensemble team up film. And
yeah. So what we got was Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League. There was no Wonder Woman had come out yet. Aquaman hadn't come out yet. The Flash, Cyborg, they were thinking like, we'll do it the opposite way. We'll introduce them in here and then they'll branch out. And ultimately, it didn't end up working out because whatever you make has to be a good product, a good movie. And the theatrical cut, guys, the theatrical cut wasn't. Any other responses you have?
There's a lot. I get it. We're terrible people.
Mm-hmm.
We
don't know what we're talking about.
We shouldn't have a platform.
Somebody said we should get out of the way. I don't know whose way we're in.
I'm sure people died during the car chase in the Batman movie. Yeah, but, not directly because of him, I guess. I mean, you could blame that more to the Penguin, I guess.
And I wasn't, my main thing that I said in that wasn't that he was running people over. I said mowing people down with a Gatling gun, which means he was shooting people. Snyder
will continue to haunt your dreams.
He shows up every night. He's like, I have this 5.5 hour cut for you. Sit down and watch it. And I'm like, no.
You don't understand nothing in movies if you think this about ZJSL.
I responded to that one. I was like, I definitely don't know what ZJSL is. I know what.
And Zack Snyder's talk Justice like you know what you saying. Keaton and Bill Batman mowed people down too, but you still like it. Criticize if you have valid points, but don't be a hypocrite. How do you know I don't hate Michael Keaton as a person? Your opinion is 1 in a million. Tell me it's irony.
It's just an opinion.
Yeah. Y'all gonna be looking stupid when the Snyderverse is restored. I look stupid every day, sir. Okay? So this is not...
It wouldn't be anything new. And again, dude, if Warner Bros. Came out tomorrow and said, hey, we're giving Zack Snyder Justice League 2, 3, and 4, we'd be cool. We go to the opening night. And my biggest thing is, when it comes to this type of stuff, you don't need to put yourself in a corner of either liking the Batman or liking just the Snyderverse. You don't have to choose. If you're a DC fan, you could like it all, which we do. But at the end of the day, guys, the studio's not paying you to watch these movies. You're not watching these for free. You're giving them money to go watch them. Boycott whatever you want, watch whatever you want, and ultimately...
Hold on, we're going to end on this one. Go to your MCU Morbius. I just heard the reviews are too good. Morbius is a Sony property, sir. It's not an MCU film. In fact, they've removed everything to do with MCU from the recent
Morbius is like the
states.
MCU is distancing themselves from Morbius like you were distancing yourself from me earlier.
Yes.
But I think that's going to wrap it up for our response video to this. Thank you guys for watching our content, and there's going to be more of it coming out. Subscribe to us if you like, and leave your thoughts down below, guys. Really do. We did appreciate all the good discussion. Again, we were blown away. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Hashtag
I just
Snyderverse.
love the Snyderverse.